washed it, I wanted to introduce the actual beetle that is what mates to actually lay the eggs. So these insects go through a complete metamorphosis when they molt. So they molt every time they grow to relieve their exoskeleton. But before we get into here, I wanted to explain the difference between a male and a female of these beetles. So I have my stick figure drawings here. Now when you look at those insects, and I'll grab one out in a second, they're just really hard to see because I wear my bifocals. But anyway, they have a flat front across their nose here. Now this drawing came out a little bit messed up, so I'm going to make this as flat as I can. So you have your insect. You have the head, you have the thorax, and the abdomen. Now, in a female, when you look at the top of the mandible, or the top of their jaw, it is straight across here. So we're going to call this one a female. Now, when you look at the male beetle, it's going to have a big loop right there. And it's hard to see, but that is the difference. Now, when I'm doing those breeding enclosures, I'm going to have one male to every 5 females. And that ratio has worked very, very well for me. But I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab a couple beetles. And I'm going to see if I can find this on camera. This is going to be kind of interesting. Get that to focus. Yep, you see that rounded part right there? That is a male. I'm going to put that one back in the box. We're going to grab another one here. What's the odds of me getting a female here? Let's see here, will that focus? Focus. That is a female. Because a crossed is very hard. A crossed right there is flat. It doesn't have that big. Is there another female here? Yeah, those are two. Focus so I can see what the heck I'm looking at here. That's a male. Whoa, I hit the camera. See how it has that moon shape right there? That's a male. Flat is female on the right. That is a... I can't believe that picked it up on camera. But yeah. So that's how you know the difference in the beetles. Today is March 6th, and I noticed that some of my superworm pupas have completely molted. And my goal, to be honest, is to get 200 females. So what I'm going to do is all these ones, like this one, good to go. I know that one's not going, that one's completely started the transformation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate all these ones that I know started. And I'm going to put those in the bottom of this pupation station. Look, this one's already, that one's already pupated. So I took all the beetles out of the little fishing boxes and moved them over to the Jello cups. I had 7 die off of the 107, and then there's 3 right there that still haven't changed completely yet. Okay, I got my 18 and 18 make 36 new SupeRWormS. And I wanted to show the pupa. So it's going to go from the SupeRWorm into this light colored pupa. Then the pupa is going to get a little bit darker over time. Then a little while later, you're going to be able to see the eyes, if it would focus. Whoa, shaking the camera. Focus. Anyway, there's those 3. And then what I just found is this one is literally molting into the next stage, which you can see its legs. I don't want to touch it very much, but I'm going to leave that in there. And then from there, it's going to turn into, you see this white one here. Then it'll turn into the brown ones. Now I'm going to leave all these ones in here so they can see that one's still light colored. These ones are darker, but I want them to turn a complete brown color before I pull these out of here. So I can write on my tag, today, wow, March 6th, first beetle, and then +1 because I found those in there, and then I added 36 more. So from January 25th to March 6th is how long it took. Now I'm gonna wait for these beetles to turn black, and then I'm going to sex them and put the males in one tray and the females in the other tray and feed them and give them proper stuff. But I'm going to try and get to 200 females and keep track of how long that takes. Alright, March 11th here, I found 6 dead, and I was able to add 8 new ones in. But out of the 144 that I started with, I've got 14 female or males. 14 males, no good. And only 3 females. Alright, here we go, SupeRWorm update. So the last one was what, March 18th. I got 3 females and killed 2 males. And today is March 25th. I'm going to give these ones in here a couple, maybe a day or 2 before I sex those ones. I think I have 6, yeah, there's 6 females in here and then 1 male. That brown one's a male. I think I'm going to put those ones in up in there with the other ones just to keep things moving. Over here I got 44 that are already pupated, and then these ones have the half circle going on. It is time for new bedding in here. Since I took out probably 200 SupeRWormS, and out of this colony, January 18th was the last time I put new bedding in it. In the last video, I had like 4 inches of bedding, and you can see that's all frass now, once again. So, they get new bedding, they get new food, and they might actually, at this point, probably get some new egg cartons, because they are pretty much eaten up. And then I have to separate some more of these because I've got about 20 some empty cups. I will fill those up and continue my journey to 200 females. It's been a couple months already, and I think I only got 9 so far. I guess I missed a couple potatoes. So I added those 3 into there, and then I filled up these cups to get 35 more started for the pupation. And over here, it looks like I've got some potatoes starting to grow inside of my wheat brand here. And then this one actually grew up inside of the screen and stuck in there. But I'm gonna take these last couple, I think there's 6 females and 1 male. I'm gonna mix those ones in here. Oh, I got a little worm. Come here, dude. I'm gonna mix those together and then put those egg blocks in here, and take these egg blocks and put them in here. And then put new bedding inside of this. Alright, got my couple inches of substrate in here. I'm going to throw some new paper towel tubes down in here because they will bury the egg cartons. Now I got a couple potatoes here and that were left. And I'm just trying to get a bunch of surface area in here for them. It looks like I can get some more egg crates, but those are all the dead potatoes. And then I cut a bunch of new ones. These ones will dry for about a day. Otherwise, all this moisture that you can see on there, that'll get moldy in the wheat bran. So you just want to cut them and let them dry for a couple days. I got a male. I put 5 females in here and 1 male. One of them ended up being an extra male, but that's all right. I got the egg blocks in here, and we will circle back in a couple more weeks. See what happens. See how far I get. Well, it's April 6th already, and I've got a bunch of beetles I'm going to section go through. Well, out of all that, only 6 of those came out to be females. All right, we're a week later. It's April 14th, and I got 8 more females in here. Since I got 8, I think I'm going to take one of these males and throw it in here and throw it in with the rest of the colony. All right, it's April 29th. I just got back from the cabin I rented up in the state park. As you can see, I got all my fishing crap everywhere. But so yeah, okay. So if you haven't seen that video, you should probably go back and watch it because it's actually pretty awesome. I had a bunch of fun. My dad came up and we caught a bunch of trout up there, and it was a blast. Go back and watch it. But in this little part right here, before I got back, or before I left, I emptied all of the cups and the containers of all the pupated SupeRWormS. But now I have a bunch over the past week that I have to go through and separate the males and the females. Then I'm going to pull a bunch out, fill these cups up, and then while I'm pulling them out, I cut a bunch of potatoes yesterday. I'm going to feed everybody. I'm going to switch the breeding blocks. I'm going to make sure the beetles have food, and I will catch back with you in about 5 minutes. Alright, so that one I'm not going to touch because it literally just molted the other day. This is actually one of my better pupations. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 males and 10 females. So this actually worked out pretty good. And I will show you if it'll come up and focus on the camera. That little hook right there, the little indent that comes down, that is a male. And then this one, it's flat across the top of its mandible, if you can see the two. I'm trying to get both of them to focus at the same time. The female is on the right, and then the male is on the left. And that's the difference between the two. So I'm going to put this one in here. Because I have 10, I'm going to take 2 males. This is a male. And then this is a male. You can see that on its mandible, that half moon shaped. So 1 male per 5 females. And I'm going to put those in this bin I have over here. With the breeding blocks. Ooh. Looks like I got some dead ones in here. That's alright. We'll get this taken care of, get this cleaned out. There's a bunch of frass in there. I'm going to get this cleaned up and then mark on my charts here what I have to get to my goal to get to 200 female SupeRWormS. So I sifted out the grow out container and all the little baby eggs and stuff. The eggs and the little babies are still down in the bottom of that. And then I've got some bigger worms that haven't fallen through yet still in here. So I'm going to let this sit for an hour or two so all the little ones crawl down through the bottom. And then I will throw the top. Everything that stayed in the sifter is going to get thrown in with the main grow out family. Alright, I sifted the main grow out container with a 1" or 1/8" sifter. This is what's left over. So this is probably full of little tiny babies. It should be. I'm not seeing anybody move. But anyway, the leftovers are in there with the big ones. Then the main grow out, I sifted through the 1/8 inch and put them back in there and in here. And then I gotta shake this and get all this sifted, and everything that falls through here I'm gonna sift with a 1/12, and then put everything that falls through the 1/12 in this container just to give them more food. And then I'll put the frass in there, which is the 1/20th screen. In my eyes, those are the only three you need: a 1/8, a 1/12, and a 1/20th, because the frass catches in the 1/20th. You can keep your frass. This bucket, that's full. I've already collected 25 pounds or 25 gallons of frass and fertilized a bunch of things with it. Apple tree, blueberry. I did a bunch of turnips last year for deer, and I'm probably going to do it again this year. So keep filling it up. So that's all the frass. There's a good bit in there. In my opinion, it is a lot easier sifting one, dumping it into another bucket, and then sifting all one size, then going to the next size smaller, then putting it into a bucket. You get what I'm saying? Instead of trying to sift all three at the same time, I think it's a lot faster. All right, breeding box and main grow out box are back together. I found 4 in the main box that are already good to go. So this is a +4. I got 36 here, and I got 34 here that I got to put lids on. And then these 2 came out of this box, and I'm off to a new fresh start again. I had a good batch today. I had more females than males, which is just a big plus. All right, see you next time. Alright, on this one, I got 13 females, and this is my colony right now. It's actually starting to get pretty decent. So I'm going to also grab, come on, get out of there. So that's 13. Oh, nope, there's one left in there. Come on. 13 new females put in there, which means I'm going to grab 2 more males here and put 2 more males in here. Till next time. Alright, it's June 5th, and I got 16 more females, so I'm going to grab 3 males that I got here, and I'm going to throw them in with my colony. Now I am officially more than a quarter of the way there. Last count I had 51 females plus these 16. This is probably going to end up being the intro to the video, but I got all these containers here emptied out. Today is June 29th. I got all the pupa moved over into a pupation station that I made here. And a couple days ago I cut up some potatoes so that the bottoms of them would dry out so that mold and stuff doesn't grow in it. But I started this last year, January 8th, 2024, and then all this stuff moved over. And moving down onto all these paperwork, the goal was to get to 200 female SupeRWormS, beetles. Right now I'm up to 72, not including the ones that are in that bin right there. For right now, I'm going to pull all these eaten potatoes out of here. Try and get all the worms out of them. And then I'm going to dump all of this. There's one inside here. And there it is. Dump all these worms. Oh look, there's one right there that's pupated. That can go in here. We're going to take all this. Oh, there's one more. And dump this in here. And let them self-sort. That needs cleaned while I'm going through this. All right, so let's see here. That's a male. That's a female. Male. Male. Female. Male. Male. Female. Female. Male. 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 Female. 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 Male. Whoa, drop that one. Male. 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 So, that's a lot of males. So in here I've got seven females. So I'm going to take 2 males and put those 2 males in here. Come over to this station here where all the beetles are at and drop them 7 in there. This this here, oh, look, there's a bunch in here. Starting to do pretty good. These I usually just clean out. Give them a couple of knocks, and then they'll go in with the beetles. Make sure I get all the little babies out. Alright, all these are trash. I need another container here. I ripped that open and literally 15 worms came out of that. See, this is what happens when they're all wet. It just turns the mush. And that's going in the trash. So I grabbed some new ones, put some new ones in here. All right. That's that. Now I gotta fill all these up. This will hold 18, this will hold 18, and then I think I got 30 cups here, so I can have close to 36 set away to turn into pupas that turn into beetles. Alright, I got these separated, and after taking 70 SupeRWormS out of my collection to pupate, it has dwindled down to probably just over 100, which is okay because this has been like this for a year. There's the 70 ready to be pupated. I had to come up with a new game plan. I put those paper towels in there so when they do change into the beetles, they have some place to hide. So the new game plan is I cut up new potatoes to let them dry for a day or two. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these and put them in a bin. Because I'm just going to dump all these SupeRWormS right in with all of the babies. I might give them one carton to climb up on or two. Alright, so there's that. Now, I have 81 females, and this started back in January of this year. And it took 411 SupeRWormS to pupate and get to 81. So that's a big difference. Like over 300 either passed away or turned into males. So now that I have another lid here, I'm just going to cover this up, and then this is going to be the wrong lid. This lid doesn't fit on here. Maybe it fits on here. Alright, so I'm going to have to transfer everything from here into there, which is no big deal. And then I'm just at a 100% restart. Everything's fresh. Still got some pupa in here. These will take probably a month and a half. And hopefully by then I'll have some more. But we're going to keep cracking, see if I can get to 200 before I run out. Don't know if that's going to happen or not. July 12th here, and I got a massive haul. I've got 21 females. So I'm going to take 4 or 5 of these males out of this cup here and put them in with the big colony. So I just got back from incarceration, had a nice little vacation going on, but it's July 24th now, and I have quite a collection of pupated SupeRWormS here. And then all the pupated ones turned into the beetles. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to count these ones. And I don't know if this is going to be the last of it or not. I have to do a count. I don't know how many fully grown SupeRWormS I have left in the main box. I'm going to have to sift everything out because I switched the egg box over and mixed everything together. So let's see where I get. Well, I had 16 die-offs. I got quite a bit of pupa, but there's only 6 females out of all these males here. So I'm going to take, there's 3 right there. I'm going to put those 3 in there and dump all those in with the colony. Alright, so the paperwork says 92 females. Plus, I'm going to add in these 6. But I know a couple of them died off, so like, I gotta be around 90. I don't think I broke 100 yet. But, we're working on it. I think I might be able to get at least one more good batch turned into pupae, but I wish at this point I had one more bigger size of a screen to get all these small little ones separated, but I'm gonna make do here. Just pulled a couple handfuls out here. I'm gonna see if I can get those separated, but this is all the sifted wheat bran that I just went through and wanted to show a couple of these little teeny tiny worms that actually were still on the egg carton whenever I moved the egg cartons out. These guys are teeny tiny. So there's the main batch, and I pulled some of the biggest ones out right here that I'm going to try and pupate. I think I need more than that because I believe I can do like 60 of them at a time, maybe 70. But I don't know. Hopefully all these ones grow big enough in the next month. By the time it takes these ones to pupate, these ones might be big enough for me to start another batch. But I think this is going to end up being the last one. I don't know if I'm going to even make it to 200. I'm going to try my hardest to get to 200 females here. See what happens. Oh, I cut up a bunch more potatoes here because that needs to dry for a day so that this doesn't mold on the bottom. It's real moist. Cut them, leave them up on there for a day or two, and then I'll put them in here. I'm going to put fresh bedding on top of this just to give them some more wheat bran to have, because a lot of this is just frass, but I don't want to throw it away yet because there is still a lot of babies in here. You can see them all moving around. So we're going to give that probably another 2 months 2 more months, then I'll sift this through as well as I can and sit down and pick them out with the tweezers, the ones that I can't get to. Alright. Alright, I got 34 in the Jello shot containers, and then I got 36 in these tackle box containers. So that gives me 70 new ones. I got new bedding and paper towel tubes in here, and I'm just going to put these egg crates in here for right now. They'll get taken out tomorrow whenever I put the potatoes in there. And then here's the last of the bigger worms. I don't think I'm gonna have enough for another 70, but total I've got, it took 471 to get 98 females. That's not really good ratio. I spent an entire year to get up to like 1,000. I gave a couple hundred of them to my buddy to feed his chickens. I used a lot of them for fish bait. I feed them to my turtles every once in a while. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 200. We'll find out in the next one. August 9th here, I've got a really good haul. There's still 2 more in there. Come on. Boink. There we go. And that's why I keep a potato in there, because they do eat as soon as they change. Get back in there. Alright, I'm going to get these ones separated here. Alright, this one came up. I got 24 males and 17 females here. The ratio still sucks, and it looks like I've got 2 or 3 dead ones in here that I got to get rid of. And not very many pupa left. Alright, with these 17 females, I added 5 more males in there. And I broke 100. I am officially more than halfway to the goal of 200. I have 115 females. And it took 9 months to get this far. Oh, jeez. Not 9, 8. 8 since this started. This guy got stuck in here. Oh, he's no longer alive. That's no good. Alright, next video I'm going to go through everything and clean this entire thing out. I just added 2 new potatoes here to give them more food. And we will continue this in another week or so once the rest of the SupeRWormS actually pupate, before I move them into this pupation station. Here we are, the end of the video. A year and 8 months into it. I went through and pulled all the pupated SupeRWormS out, dumped them in here, got the actual adults, complete metamorphosis out. I ended up with these 5 males, and I had 4 females that I ended up putting in that container. There was 4 females and 5 males. There, I had a bunch of die-offs. Everything needs cleaned and moved forward. Unfortunately, my goal has come to an end. There is 54 beetles alive. In the last update I did last weekend, I noticed I had a huge die-off. And unfortunately, there's more than 50, probably more than 60 dead beetles in the collection. Not too happy about that. So, this process started. I bought 2 containers. They were like this size from the pet store. There was 50 live ones in each of them. So I started with 100 over a year and 8 months ago. Then I raised those ones out for 5 months to get them big enough to turn them into the actual beetles. From there, I collected eggs and did random female and male metamorphosis to get them to lay more eggs. I ended up with over, I'm going to say 1,500 SupeRWormS that I gave away. Handfuls here I used for fishing. I fed my turtle, fed my fish. That grew into this trying to raise 200 starting in January of this year, which was 1 year later that I had that many SupeRWormS. Now the main herd, I'm going to call it a herd, just like cattle, the collection has dwindled down to actual SupeRWormS. I probably only have 40 left that would actually be old enough to pupate properly and live long enough to actually turn into beetles to breed. So now I'm going to have to restart this whole thing over. This is August. I'll probably start it again in January. I'm going to let all these pupate. I'm not going to turn any more until January, and then by then I think I'm going to grow. I'm going to make a bigger box, because I think the die-off was because this enclosure just couldn't house that many of them. They were suffocating. There was too many of them in this little 32 quart box. I think I need to make it bigger, or I need to make 3 of these so that I can have 3 different boxes and they're all dropping eggs, because I think this amount right here, around 50 of them, would be the perfect amount to have in a box this size. Trying to get more than that is not, I don't think, going to work out, even with the surface area of the egg cartons. Yes, they have the surface area. They have more room. I'm giving them more room. I don't think I gave them enough room. And that's going to end the video. I'm going to use this unscientific data of not big enough enclosures to say that was the reason of the die-off. And I'm going to move forward and try this again. See you in the next one. I got some ideas for some other videos. We'll get them out here soon.